Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma for those of you who are new, and I would love it if you guys subscribed and stuck around. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, we're just going to be having TBR jar prompts. Choose my September TBR. I am so excited to finally be sitting down and filming this video for you guys. I posted a bookish day in my life vlog a couple weeks ago where I actually created these TBR jar prompts, and I'm so excited to finally be filming this video. I was waiting to choose my September TBR with these prompts. This video was started, I think, by Rachel Catherine. She is a booktuber and content creator, and I think this was like her original idea. You could correct me if I'm wrong. I saw Sarah Caroli do this video, and that's how I found Rachel as well. I've been wanting to do this for a while because I have a book shopping problem, and I own more books on my physical TBR than I have read, so I just thought this would be a fun way to sort of tackle my TBR. And I'm definitely going to be filming some reading vlogs for you guys as well, but I thought that this video would be more fun than me just sitting down and saying what books I want to read in the month. I feel like this is kind of like a little game, and it's a little bit more interesting for me as well as you guys, hopefully. So if you didn't watch my bookish day in my life, I'll have that in the cards and down below. But basically what I did was I watched a couple TBR videos from Rachel and Sarah where they chose their TBR with TBR jar prompts, and they both had, like, in the description box some prompts that you could use for your own jars. So I used a couple of theirs. I did some research on Lemonade and Pinterest and threw a couple in there, but I also just created some fun ones on my own. So I'm super excited to be filming this video for you guys. I'm excited to see what prompts we get, and I honestly cannot wait. Be sure to like this video and comment down below your September TBR or what book you are most excited to read for your September TBR. Subscribe, follow me over on Bookstagram and TikTok, and be friends with me over on Goodreads. I always have all of my socials linked down below. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the video. Okay, so my little jar is from Marshall's, if you guys were wondering. I think it's just the cutest little mason jar. It's a little hard to get open though, but there we go. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is we're gonna choose 6 books. I would choose 8, but realistically I only read, well, the last couple months I've only read like 2 or 3 books per month, but in the fall I like to read a little bit more. So hopefully we can get around to 6 books, but I'm just gonna shake it up here. We'll see what prompt we get. Also, my shirt is so cute. I got it from a local Kansas small business. It is called Blush Bookstore, and they are a woman-owned, woman-run small bookstore in Wichita, Kansas, which I live a couple hours away from, and my dad grew up there, so pretty close to home. But they just launched their online shop a couple weeks ago, and this t-shirt was on it. It's a comfort colored t-shirt, and it says, "We've been doing all this late night reading. Can't get you off my mind." So if you're a book girly or a hairy girly, you definitely need this shirt. It's so soft, and they have a couple other t-shirts on their site that I definitely want to pick up, but it's just the cutest thing ever, and I had to wear it today even though I just got it in the mail yesterday. But if you see me wearing this in like all of my book videos, mind your business, because it's the comfiest thing ever. Let's just go ahead and pick our first prompt. I'm like so nervous because I have so many books on my physical TBR. I have my TBR cart here just for the look of it, but I have books that I haven't read all over my bookshelf. So time to choose the first one. I'm so nervous. Okay, this feels like a good one. I don't know. Ooh, a thriller. So very fall. The first prompt that I got is thrillers. So I have quite a few on my TBR that I'm super excited about. So just at first glance on my bookshelf here, I have a couple thrillers. So I have the Mary Shelley Club, which is a YA sort of thriller horror kind of vibe. The back says a little bit Scream, a little bit Gossip Girl, a little bit pulpy. So I feel like this one would be a fun option. I haven't heard many people talk about this one, but I also have these 2 that I just recently picked up. So I have For Found Dead by Natalie D. Richards, which sounds super interesting. It's also kind of a thriller meets horror. But then I also have the Naturals series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I picked up the first book to see if I would like it, and Jennifer Lynn Barnes is the author that wrote The Inheritance Games, which I've read the first in that series. And I know Sarah Caroli is reading this, I think, for her September like Patreon book club, so maybe I will choose this one. But I also have a bunch of other thrillers just on my bookshelf. So I have made a decision. I think I want to read The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This one just sounds so interesting, and I feel like I'm gonna like this one a little bit more than the Inheritance Games. This is basically just about teenagers who are like super duper smart and have a bunch of really cool abilities, and they're basically like scouted by the FBI to solve, I don't know if it's like cold cases or something like that, but kind of like Criminal Minds, because I think a few of them are like in the behavioral analysis unit and that sort of thing, or the BAU or whatever is in Criminal Minds. So I feel like this one would be super interesting, and if I enjoy it, I'll definitely pick up the rest of the books to add to my fall TBR. I think the first one we're gonna do is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Okay, the next one is author you've never read before. All right, so I have actually quite a few for this one. So I have some Sarah Adams, I have some Abby Jimenez, which could be good because I've never read anything by her. I also have some Allie Hazelwood books, which I've never read anything by her either, even though I've had Love on the Brain, The Love Hypothesis, and now Love Theoretically on my TBR for ages. But I feel like there's other prompts that might lead me toward choosing an Allie Hazelwood read. I also have some Leigh Bardugo, which could be good. Okay, so the book I chose, I technically need to read another book first, I believe, but I'm choosing Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I feel like her books, like, you don't have to read them in order, but I think you're supposed to read Part of Your World first, which I did own at one point, but I had the hardcover and I decided just to get rid of it because I much prefer paperbacks. But I feel like I could still get away with reading this one. I'm not actually sure what it's about. All I know is that it's maybe like a doctor and like a pen pal or something, and they write letters to one another. But I've heard really good things about Abby Jimenez's books, especially from Des and Sarah, so I'm hoping this one will be good. So for an author that I've never read, we're gonna pick up an Abby Jimenez book. There's one book on my TBR that I am dying to read, like that's on my TBR cart, so hopefully we get a prompt that will do it, because I specifically made like a couple prompts that would maybe let me pick this book, but we shall see. Okay. Out of your comfort zone. Okay. I read a lot of romance, so that's like the #1 genre that I read. I also branched out into fantasy this year, but I typically like to read fantasy that has romance in it. So that's something. So I can't choose romance for this category. That's out of the question because romance is in my comfort zone. So I feel like we want to lean more towards like a sci-fi book, a dystopian book, or like some kind of fantasy. So let's see if there's anything on my TBR cart or my shelves that would be good for this prompt. Right off the bat, I'm thinking of a couple books. So I have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which I feel like might be a little bit out of my comfort zone because it is fantasy and it's like dragons and stuff. But I feel like I would enjoy that because I really love the ACOTAR series, which I still need to finish. So if I get a prompt that tells me to like finish a series, then we're definitely gonna have to pick up ACOTAR. I have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I've actually had for a while. And I thought this was just like a dark academia sort of book. But I've also heard some things, or some people say that it's also like a thriller meets like dark fantasy, which I don't really know what that would be about, but I've heard amazing things about this book, but also just Leigh Bardugo in general. She wrote the Shadow and Bone trilogy, Six of Crows, and I just really like the cover, and this is screaming fall for me, but I don't know if this is the book that I want to choose. Okay, but I also have this one, which could be very interesting. So I have Renegades by Marissa Meyer, which is kind of like the Avengers type of thing. So it's basically about superheroes. So Renegades, a syndicate of prodigies, humans with extraordinary abilities. This book is super thick though, but I heard Sarah Caroli loved this book, and I trust her recommendations with my life because she is the booktube queen. But I don't really know which one is more outside of my comfort zone. I've never read anything dark academia, so I actually think I'm gonna choose Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, just because I feel like this book is super out of my comfort zone because I just started reading fantasy. I don't know if this has any romance in it, so I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I'm kind of going into this book blind because I have no idea what it's about, but even a little bit of dark academia is new to me, so I feel like this book is perfect for a book that's outside of my comfort zone. This one is like really folded up, so let's see. Enemies to Lovers. Oh my gosh, I think I have the perfect book for this. Maybe. I don't know if this is Enemies to Lovers, but let's see. Okay guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this has some like enemies to lovers in it. I could be completely wrong. All I know is that this is also kind of like Grumpy Sunshine-ish, but also there's a fake dating trope in it. But I don't think I have a fake dating like little slip or prompt for this one. But I feel like this might be enemies. I don't know if this is enemies to lovers, but I have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I could be completely wrong. This might not be enemies to lovers. Maybe I'm just making that up because I subconsciously want to read this one so bad. But I've had this book on my TBR since beginning of 2022. I literally hauled this in my first ever book haul that I have on my channel when I started posting bookish content. So I need to read this, so I'm gonna pretend that it's enemies to lovers. But I don't know, I don't really have any other books that are like screaming enemies to lovers to me. Guys, we're finally gonna read The Love Hypothesis, so look forward to a reading vlog of this one 100%. I guess I could choose this one, but I'm currently reading this one. It's not really enemies to lovers, but I'm reading The Final Offer by Lauren Asher, which is the third in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I'm already almost done with this book, but Cal and Lana are kind of like enemies, but they're also like, it's kind of like a second chance romance more so. So we're gonna go with The Love Hypothesis. I know that's probably not enemies to lovers, but we're gonna pretend that it is. Okay, 2 more prompts, you guys. Okay, I'm so scared. I feel like I need some to excite me. There's one book that I absolutely need to choose. Least popular, what does that mean? Guys, I don't know if I want that one, but I guess we can choose that one. So basically, to me, that would be a book that I haven't heard anyone talk about or heard the least amount of people talk about. You know what? I think we're gonna choose this one because I haven't heard anyone talk about this. So I'm gonna choose The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldavsky. This is the one I was talking about earlier that's kind of like Scream meets Gossip Girl. It's a YA thriller, but it also has some horror aspects to it, and I'm a sucker for slasher anything. Scream is one of my favorite movie franchises. I also loved like the MTV spin-off that they had of Scream. I really did enjoy. I also love Gossip Girl. But I haven't heard anyone talk about this, so I think this is what we're gonna choose for this one. We have one more prompt. So there is one book on my TBR that I want to read more than anything, and maybe it's not meant to be if I don't get a prompt for it, but if it is meant to be, we're gonna choose it. So if this isn't a prompt that will make me choose this book, I'll be very sad. Oh, rom-com. Okay, so that's not the book that I wanted, but let's choose a rom-com. I was gonna choose Love theoretically, but I feel like since I already have some Ali Hazelwood on my TBR, I don't want to read 2. So that doesn't leave me with a whole lot of options. I have Sarah Adams' Practice Makes Perfect. I feel like this is just a short, easy read. I have Once More with Feeling by Alyssa Sussman, but I've heard horrible reviews on this one, so I don't know if I want to read it and like put myself into a slump. I am currently reading The Fine Print, or not The Fine Print, but the third in the Dreamland Billionaire series, so that doesn't count. I have this book though, which is called Love Struck by Laura Jane Williams. I got this in the UK because I loved the cover, but I've never heard of this book or this author, so maybe this would be a good option. I also have Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score. So I've made a decision on my last book for this TBR. I honestly might choose one more just to see if I get the book that I want. If not, we're gonna be happy with the books that we chose. So the one that I chose for rom-com is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I know there's one before this. I think When in Rome is a book that you're supposed to read before this, but you don't have to read them in order. At least that's what my friend told me. I've heard really good things about Sarah Adams' book. She writes like Closed Doors, Minimal Spice, all of that sort of thing. So I feel like this one would be a very short, very easy read for me. So I feel like this is perfect for the rom-com category. Should we choose one more prompt just to see if we get a prompt for the book that I want? Let's just do it. Let's do it. If we don't get the prompt, we won't choose the book. It's just meant to be. We'll wait until October and see. I just want to shake it some more. I don't want to try one. I just want this to be one. No matter how many times I shake this, like it's not gonna help anything. So which one? Which one do I do? I don't know which one to choose. Should I do left or should I do right? Let's do right. So this isn't the one that I want. If this isn't gonna be a prompt that will somehow let me choose the book that I want to read this month, I mean, it's not that serious. I can read it even if I don't get a prompt for it. What does that say? Wait, this could be it, you guys. So it says part of a series, which if I'm wrong, I could be mistaken, but I think this book is part of a series. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I've been wanting to read this for so long, and I'm so excited to read this book. I wish I had a paperback cover, but I mean, this hardcover is stunning. I feel like we have to read this, and if I went through all that trouble and I chose another additional prompt just so I could read this book, and if I don't read it, you guys can give me hell. So if it's not a series, but I think it is because the sequel is coming out in November. So there we go. So that is my September TBR. Let's do a little review and a recap of the books that I chose. So for thriller, I chose The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the first in the Natural series, and I'm so excited to read this one. And then for an author that I have not read, we're choosing Abby Jimenez, yours truly. So this should be fun to see what the hype is about Abby Jimenez. And then for a book outside of my comfort zone, we chose Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So we'll see. I'm going into this one completely blind. I honestly have no idea what it's about, but the cover is cool and I feel like it's giving fall, so we shall see if it's any good. And then for an Enemies to Lovers, which probably actually isn't Enemies to Lovers and I just want to read it, we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. But this one has just been on my TBR for far too long now, so we're finally gonna bite the bullet and read this one this month. And then for a book that is the least popular, which not necessarily, this is just kind of subjective depending on what book content or book reviews or whatever you choose to consume, I have The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldavsky. Never heard anyone talk about this, so we're gonna read it and see if it's good. Then for rom-com, we have Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. Also super excited to read this one because I feel like I don't read a lot of just like short, easy rom-com books, so definitely a fun one to add to the TBR this month. And then we have Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, which I literally chose an additional prompt just to see if it would work for this, so I hope this one is part of a series, but excited to read this one and I hope I get around to it. That brings us to the end of this video. That is all the prompts that I'm choosing. I think this was super fun having a TBR jar and prompts choose my monthly TBR. So we'll see in my September wrap up at the end of the month if I read any of these books and what my thoughts were on them. Also stay tuned because I have a fall TBR video coming that's already filmed. I don't know if it's up before or after this video, but it's basically just a comprehensive list of all the books that I want to read in the fall season, from thriller to horror to fantasy and all of that good stuff. So I will have that linked in the cards down below if it's already out. If not, stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.